Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jason. I am back with another video. It's been a little bit of time, actually, since I did one of these updates because, I don't know, February sort of flew by. It's cold, snowy, and I also got another head cold during all that time. So, didn't pick up as many records, actually, during February. I've been kind of building up my DVD collection, big time DVDs and Blu-rays. I'll have more on that in another video. But video I'm going to do today is pretty much just the stuff I got in Toronto. I got a few CDs also to show that I got in the mail, but this is Toronto Hamilton, actually, update. Managed to pay a nice visit to one of my favorite spots in Hamilton, Ontario, which is Flashbacks Records up on Concession Street. Great little shop. Every time I go, it seems to have more vinyl in there, including some vinyl bins even on the floor that I was digging in at the end of the visit. I, of course, buy some records from Flashbacks online. I'll put a link in the description below. You can find some really great prices. If you're a Canadian buyer, it's definitely worth your while. I don't know if he does shipping or not, but he definitely puts them aside anyway for me so I can pick them up at a later date. And then, of course, I've made it's one of my many usual visits to Sonic Boom, so I've got a few things to show from there as well, downtown Toronto. So let's kick things off with these amazing Sacrifice records. I got not only one, but two records, actually, to show you guys. One of my favorite thrash metal bands from the 80s. Canadian, all Canadian thrash here. An absolute must. And these are two really nice reissues done up well by High Rollers Records, which I think is out of Germany, right? These are black vinyl editions. I haven't even cracked them open yet, but I want to show you guys. Very familiar with these ones. This is the first album, Torment and Fire, and of course, like the third album, Soldiers of Misfortune, came out in 1990. The debut, I think, came out like in 85, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 86, but yeah. Got to see them live once so far in Ottawa before the pandemic sometime, and it was a total ripper of a show. Now they have a brand new album out, which I really want to get. Hasn't showed up yet in any local shops. I think it's only been available overseas or at a ridiculous price on Amazon, which I am refusing to pay at this point. But I will be picking it up as soon as possible because it still rips. The guys are great. Up there with, you know, the top Canadian thrashers like Razor, Annihilator, Exciter. So yeah, Sacrifice. Really psyched to get those nice reissues. I had a reissue of Torment and Fire on a Canadian label, Warren Music, that I didn't really like the sound quality of too much. So I'm really hoping that these High Rollers deliver the goods. I would love, of course, to get the OGs of those ones, but doesn't come up too often. I do have an OG of the second album by Sacrifice, so that was kind of cool. Now, while I was in the shop, picking up basically stuff that was already set aside for me, man, come across another really cool metal record that I had to just grab, because as they say, if you see it, you probably should just grab it because you might never see it again. Now, I'm going to struggle with the name of this band. Here, let's see. So I want to say Svin Eater. I don't think that's how you maybe pronounce it. I'm not sure. SVNEATR. Black and death metal band out of Vancouver, I guess, BC. So some Canadian stuff here. Deadly stuff. Listened to a bit of it on my phone before I picked it up, and it's on the Prosthetic Records label, so I knew that was good quality metal, underground metal. So yeah, the album's called Never Return. I think it's like their debut. Came out in 2024, so last year release. And just, yeah, really heavy, dark mixture of death and black, and a little bit progressive as well. A little bit of prog, death, black, and of course you got a red vinyl. So yeah, that was a nice surprise pickup. Now, while I was in the shop in Hamilton, in the Hammer, there's a lot of shops there actually, but Flashback's one of my favorites. He had a whole stack of records that I had picked up online, I guess, over the last few months, including this jam. Didn't actually have a copy of this on vinyl, but big party tune from the 80s, and the ladies, JJ Fad, Everybody remembers this if you were around back in the 80s. But yeah, some people may not know actually that this is produced, I believe, by Dr. Dre, or Arabian Prince of NWA. Dr. Dre probably involved in some ways. But yeah, this is a Supersonic single, but it's kind of a weird one because it's not really the Supersonic single. It was kind of a reissue for the single called Another Hoe. So it was a little tricky finding this on Discogs because the official Supersonic single does not look like this. But this is like a 1988 reissue with Another Hoe, Another Tramp, and Supersonic. I believe Another Hoe is kind of a diss track for Real Roxanne or Roxanne Shante. Supersonic, of course, were on the West Coast, I want to say. It's very like Miami bass sound as well, like really super fast, sped up, almost electro beats. But yeah, JJ Fad, Supersonic, that single. Finally picked up a copy, a used, beaten up copy-ish of Alice Cooper's Killer. I've seen this in the bins many, many times. I think I got the CD of it too, so pretty great. Glam rock, hard rock from Alice and the Gang. That one came out, I think, in 71. And lo and behold, an OG. Some OGs here. OG copy of Hellbent for Leather, which, of course, the Judas Priest album originally called Killing Machine in the UK, but in North America they changed it over to Hellbent for Leather. This is Canadian press and a classic record for sure. I have the reissue of this, but I've been wanting to get an OG copy for a while, so it was nice to pick it up. It's just so many great tracks on this one. Delivering the Goods, Hellbent for Leather, Green Manalishi, cover, Killing Machine. Yeah, it's almost like their disco. I always say this is like Judas Priest disco record because it got some funky grooves to some of those metal tracks. And then, of course, the Priest album that really kicked it off for me as a kid. This was the first Priest album I got. I had this on cassette, and actually this is a double. Saw this at the very last minute in the cheapy bins and had to grab a second copy of it. Total classic. Priest, Electric Eye, Hellion, Scream for Vengeance. You Got Another Thing Coming. Classic record. And speaking of classics, I got a little bit of Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells, ambient record. Classic ambient record from the 70s. I think I've had this in my collection off and on, but got another cheaper copy, I guess, on Virgin Records. That was kind of nice. Just going through these pretty fast here. Picked up a cheap copy of this, but it's actually cheap because there's only one disc. It's missing the second record. But I think I do have a copy, another OG copy of this somewhere in my collection. So Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. And of course we got some more Ohio players. They are always with the sexy covers. This is Everybody Up, and I'm not sure what the big jam is on this one, but you know there's going to be some good funk on that thing. Get some more Ohio player. I think I probably have like 10 Ohio player records at this point. This is another band that had a lot of records released back in the 80s. This is some prog rock by Sega. This was a pretty cheap find, $2. Canadian prog rock. Album's called Worlds Apart. I think it's like a third or fourth album by them. This one came out in 81. It's quite good actually. I really like these guys. They're kind of under the radar these days, but there's a band that's not under the radar at all. I think this might actually be a double copy for me, but I couldn't resist picking up a second one. It's Ramones, End of the Century. Not the best Ramones album, but a strange one in many ways because it's produced by Phil Spector from the U.S. and a strange cat himself, known for his Wall of Sound from the 60s. It's got a very 60s vibe to the whole thing. Sometimes a little bit too pop rock. But yeah. So like there's ballads and stuff like that on here. But you know, it does have Chinese rock on here, which is really good. So yeah, Ramones, End of the Century. And that's it for Hamilton. I mean, that was a pretty big pile. He came out of the back with this pile of records that I bought over the months, like I said. Pretty happy with that. A lot of good used stuff, good deals. Let's get into the stuff I got from Sonic Boom in Toronto, downtown Toronto. Kicking things off with techno 12-inch, some acid techno by an artist named Acid Elf. Goes by the name Acid Elf. It's actually a Canadian artist. Don't know too much about him. This came out in 2017 on a Russian label, actually, which is now, I guess, the United States' favorite country. But yeah, this is a cool single from 2017. More of an EP, really. 4 different tracks on here. Just kind of cool, bubbling acid techno. He's got a lot of releases when I looked up the guy on Bandcamp. Another Canadian record, Canadian label, Canadian band out of Montreal. This is band's called Grand Trine, and this is the Sunglasses EP. Really good garagey punk from the 2000s, sort of lost record from the 2000s here on the Divorce label, and that's how that looks right there. So yeah, this was like total blind buy. Just found this in the bin, looked it up quickly. I think they had maybe a couple of releases back in the 2000s. That's getting to be a long time ago now. 2010, actually. This came in 2010, so this is 15 years old. Yeah, like I said, Montreal garage punk. Pretty cool stuff. Speaking of punk, well, how about some black metal next? Mayhem. We had some punkish elements to their sound, I guess you could say. Underproduced. This is a classic record from them. I think like their second album. I don't know. It's kind of hard to follow this band because band members get murdered and eaten and all kinds of ghoulish stuff. But yeah, there you go. True Norwegian black metal. This is a classic. Mysteries of Dumb Satanus, and reissued on Back on Black. UK label's been doing lots of reissues, so nice to pick that up. And also picked up another pricey record, but this is well worth it. Nice OG of Killing Joke's Fire Dances. Just continue to complete my Killing Joke collection. This one's very tribal in their canon of post-punk sounds. Just great band. I mean, you can't really go wrong with any Killing Joke record. They're always kind of a little bit unique in their own way, but also very Killing Joke as well. So yeah, it has a lot of beats on this one. This came out in '83. I think it's like maybe the 3rd or 4th album. And I think I've got all the first 4 now in a row or something. 2 last ones to show you guys for vinyl anyway. Maybe I'll show you the CDs, but another double for me. Man, I'm at the stage where I'm just buying doubles really at this point. But I don't know if I realized I had this already or not, but I just picked it up last summer, I think. But Dead Kennedys 12-inch, and we got an top loader here. Top loader, everybody. This is Bleed For Me / Life Sentence. There's not a ton of singles, 12-inch singles anyway, by Dead Kennedys. Probably quite a few 7s. But yeah, this one is pretty nice. So originally out in 1982 on Alternative Tentacles, but this is also the Canadian press. So it is on Fringe Records out of Toronto. Great distro from the 80s. I basically collect anything that Fringe put out, but yeah, fun little single. I think it's a double. Last but not least, a real revelation here. My first ever record by this band that I'm ever going to show on video right now. In honor of Rachel, who used to have a big channel. I don't know if she's still doing her channel or not, but I actually picked up a Beatles record. What the hell? It's a compilation, the Hey Jude compilation, and it just has a few tracks that I kind of like on this one, like Don't Let Me Down and Ballad of John and Yoko are both on this one. So, I don't know, I saw it in the bin, I had a weak moment, I guess, picked up the Fab Four. Now, let's finish on a even better note. I got 3 CDs here to show you guys. Came in the mail. Nice collection of electronic and current goth post-punk Of course, I'm talking about the latest Cure album. I finally picked it up. Been waiting on the sidelines for this one. Again, I did not want to pay the ridiculous import prices that this one was carrying online, but I managed to find a cheaper copy of the Digipack version. I didn't even open it up, but well, I mean, I opened it up to play it, but I haven't opened it up gatefold style. You know what I'm saying? Songs of a Lost World. Man, I gotta say, I've only spun it a couple times so far, and it is absolutely excellent. Classic Cure sound from like that mid career sound of Disintegration album. Just super melancholic and depressing and awesome, and totally sounds like they've never aged a day. Yeah, really impressed. I mean, maybe it was the stereo, the cheap shitty stereo I'm playing it on, but it sounded like it was coming out of the 90s. Didn't have too much of that modern production sound at all. I'd like to pick this up on vinyl, but again, only if I find it cheap or used, that kind of thing. I got two electronic CDs that were new to me, new releases. This may actually be my first pickup of the year for 2025 release. So take that. This is, and I can't even find it on Discogs. It's that new. It's a project, I guess you'd call it, called Calm Pieces. And the name of the album is Singles. CD looks like that. I did it up for some colored vinyl. You get some colored CD. How about that? But yeah, it sounds really great. This is really, really mellow, ambient IDM. Great late night listening. Put you right to sleep. It's got quite a few tracks on here. I want to say like 10 tracks. It doesn't list the tracks on the back, unfortunately. But it is a project by Rafa Ramos Senya. I think of, I'm not going to say. The label is out of the UK, but I'm not sure if he's from the UK. But it's on White Lab Rex. Highly recommend. 2025 release. Wonder if it'll make my end of year. But it's very early now, isn't it? But yeah, Calm Pieces Singles. Really cool single. Really cool CD. I hope they put it on Discogs soon so I can add it to the collection in there. And last but not least, got this one. This is Actress, actually. UK producer. Goes by the name Actress. Other pseudonyms as well, but it's Darren J. Cunningham. And the name of this record is actually Darren J. Cunningham, but written in Belarus. I got the CD in the player right now. Pretty minimal cover design. Again, kind of ambient IDM. Basically one long-ass track. And it's, I think originally was done for Resident Advisor, which is a big electronic website out of the UK for electronic music. And yeah, it says on here, made for RA 938. So I think it was like a DJ set he did for Resident Advisor, but a DJ set of all of his own material. So yeah, it takes you on quite a journey. You just kind of sit back and let that thing go. So yeah, that is going to wrap it up. This is the Actress CD. 2024 release. Very fun listen. Takes you on a journey. And that is going to be it for my late February. In fact, it's March 1st as I'm recording this. So this is my February update of stuff I got mostly in Toronto and a couple of things. Toronto, Hamilton, and a couple of things that I got in the mail. And I will see you guys in the next one.